Good afternoon. This is Dr. Yvette Mitchell, and welcome to our Fostering Live podcast. This is a special segment, and the first few segments have been dedicated to grandparents raising children again. Last week, we talked about the feelings that sometimes go along with the process of becoming a parent again. Sometimes it's due to drug addiction or incarceration or mental breakdown of some kind, that you will find yourself as a grandparent thinking that you had completed all of your rearing times back into rearing a child or children. And there are some really feelings that go along with rearing a child again. So we talked about that and some of the things that you need to do if the feelings really get overwhelming. Today, we're going to talk about the financial burden and some of the things that need to be done to uh, help you through the process. But first, we're going to talk about what happens. Sometimes you have loss of income actually taking on your child. Sometimes you have to cut back on hours or cut back on the days of work, and or so that you do not lose days of work or get fired for not showing up. You sometimes have to adjust your schedule, and that can cause a lack of income. And of course, if you are surviving alone and your income is paying the bills, a decrease in income can be a financial serious burden. Also, if your child is going to daycare or needs daycare, the cost of daycare today is astronomical and therefore sometimes puts it out of reach for a grandparent on a limited budget to put the child in daycare, or if you are able to pay daycare, then it's a great impact on your monthly expenses. Not only that, food, whether we think that they're little people or not, our food expenses change, our clothing costs change. They grow out of outfits and we need to buy them shoes and pants and shirts and the rest of things. Health care becomes a concern, and doctor visits and medication and potential emergencies. Therefore, these things can become quite a burden and stretch us way beyond our means. And on top of that, we have difficulty because if we do not have legal custody of the children, it is not a chance that you can get any government benefits like food stamps or some of the food services that sometimes cater to older people. You may still be able to get those, but getting the kinds of food that the kids like is going to require a little extra money output. So difficulty in accessing financial aid is meant for families raising children can leave grandparents feeling very frustrated and unsupported, even when help might be technically available. Um, so technically, there may be things that we can do, and we'll talk about those things. Also, just lack of legal custody. Um, if without custody of your grandchildren, sometimes it is difficult to be able to get things like medical examination, vaccinations, enrolling in school, being called upon when something goes wrong at school. Because if you're not an actual, do not have actual custody, then it can become a potential problem and one that adds an additional stress. So there are situations, there are remedies to these things, and we'll talk more about them. Today, we're just covering some of the issues that can come up, and in our next live broadcast, we'll talk a little bit more about some of the strategies you can employ to uh, to help you with these issues. Um, Sometimes grandparents are actually thrown into poverty and hardship as a result of taking care of their grandkids. They do the best that they can, but it becomes overwhelming in caring for the needs of the children and your personal needs. And it can actually put you in a state of poverty. So we need to be real with ourselves and proactive so that we can identify things that we can do to avoid that getting into that situation or those circumstances. Also, taking on the role of a primary caregiver can often mean parents must put your own plans on hold, your own dreams. Many envision their retirement years as time for relaxation or travel or pursuing long-term interests. Instead, they find themselves dealing with the daily demands of child rearing and financial pressures that come with that. You might have to forego some of your leisure activities, some of your travel plans, or give up hobbies due to money and time constraints. This dramatic shift in lifestyle can lead to very negative feelings, and that is a reality that you need to know how to deal with. And if it gets overwhelming, what to do, what strategies you can do that will help you navigate that very, very difficult path. So some of the things that we're going to talk about, strategies and support for grandparent caregivers, is you can look at AARP benefits. There are some actual benefits in AARP, in addition to just finding allies that love other grandparents raising children. And they offer AARP, which is available to you and it's only $12 a year. Will find resources tailored to specific needs of adults rearing children again. You can get financial assistance, and the financial assistance is often you have to become kinship. And kinship care may require you going to the DHS office and saying that you have your children at this time and getting some assistance. Now, I know that there is a lot of hesitation towards uh, saying that your child either abandoned their children or you find yourself being feeling like you're turning in your child. However, if you are in a position that you must care for the child, the concern about the adult is not the biggest concern for you. It is to be able to properly feed and care for this child. So sometimes it is imperative that you look beyond that or go beyond that. And it's challenging. And again, you need people to talk to, and you need to find out that you're not the only one in this position. You also need to seek some legal assistance, and that can sometimes be difficult, but there are free legal advice, community legal advice that you can go to that will guide you through formal custody or guardianship, or kinship care with your child. Many communities offer low cost or pro bono free cost legal assistance, especially when it comes to children. You can also go to your local bar association, your legal aid societies, or senior center that may be able to help you with legal issues when it comes to your child. What is so also very important is building a network. And that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to get other parents, because I guarantee you, whatever you have gone through, other parents, grandparents have gone through it, maybe gone to the other side of it, have found some solutions. But what you need is the support to know that other people are going through the same thing. And if we put our minds and heads all together, that we can find solutions. But it's just very, very comforting to know that you have someone else that's going through this with you and going with it also, and we can find some strategies. And one of the most important things that I want to talk about is prioritizing your own self-care. I cannot express that enough, that we will literally run yourself into the ground if you do not take time for your own self-care, your own mental health, taking a break, finding a way that you can have some me time. We all need that. It is important for our mental health. And if you're not okay, the children will not be okay. So a part of caring for your child is making sure that you are also cared for. So take time in different ways. For me, one of the ways that I find is I take every couple of weeks time to go get my nails and my pedicure done. And those 2 hours that I spend in the nail salon totally relaxes me and resets me. And I protect it pretty jealously. I go often when my children are in school, but this is my me time. In fact, for me, I schedule school time from 8 o'clock when I get 8:30 when I get back home from dropping them off to school to 2 o'clock as my me time every day. So you need to set aside that time. That's time for me to do whatever my appointments are so they're not conflicting with the children. Um, so I set all my appointments during that time, or as I said, the hairdresser or the nail salon or whatever. It is important that you take that new time and you prioritize it because again, if you're not on your feet, your children would not be okay. And you might be your last bastion of hope for growing up with people that are directly connected to them. So it's important that you take that time. The bottom line is raising children is a journey filled with both joys and challenges. The financial strain can be significant, and grandparents aren't alone in this country. You need to understand you are not alone. Remember, it's okay to ask for help and to take advantage of programs and services designed to support families in situations. And that was difficult for me because I'm a very proud person and I can take care of anything. But I found myself financially being strained and getting in frustration. And so I too had to give my own self advice and seek out help. And it's made a world of difference. While the road is not easy, the stability that you can give your children, especially if you know their biological parent is not stable, has not provided the kind of home that you know that these children need. They need rules, they need systems and structure. And if it's all over the place, you're setting the grandchildren up to fail. If you must step in, then be ready to take all the heat that goes with it and know that there's going to be a battle, be prepared for it, but the outcome will be one day that little one will be an okay young adult that you have helped to raise. So that is the end of our program for today. I'm going to say that you can create a positive environment for both yourself and your children in your care, ensure a brighter future for them and for you. Because these little people, when they come up and hug you, are the sweetest joy that you can believe. And one day you hope that they say thank you. But if not, even in your heart, you know that you've done the best that you can and you do not have to receive any special accolades from anybody. If you step in, bravo to you, kudos to you, pat yourself on the back because everybody cannot. But again, you need to join Fostering Lives to help us all do a better job of grandparents raising children, adopted and foster parents raising children, because we need each other. As it takes a village to raise a child, we need each other to do services for our children. So I'm going to thank you. I'm going to see you next week as we continue our grandparents raising children segment 4. And hopefully we'll have some grandparents on that will talk about their journey and you'll be able to talk directly with them. For now, this is Dr. Yvette Mitchell, and thank you again for fostering lives